Greetings, fellow learners. Welcome to IziCodeCraft. Let's turn our experiences into lessons. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join the journey. So, in the last episode, we went through the last part of the How Does the Web Work lesson of the prerequisites section. We did the rest of the assignments and the knowledge check part. Today, we are starting with a lesson that is called Installation Overview. Introduction. The first step in building any website is having the right tools. For us, that means setting up a development environment for writing good code. Starting with the right tools is crucial. Think of it like a chef needing sharp knives and quality ingredients. The better your setup, the smoother your development process will be. Many online development courses use in-browser code editors or sandboxes, which give you the tools and programs needed to accomplish the task at hand and nothing else. You'll use some of these sandboxes throughout the early stages of the Odin Project, since they're great for getting started quickly. Sandboxes are fantastic for beginners because they simplify the initial learning curve. They provide an environment where you can focus purely on coding without worrying about the underlying setup. However, the best way to set yourself up for long-term success is to operate in a real development environment. This is a key point. While sandboxes are useful, they can be limiting. A real development environment mirrors the conditions you'll face in actual projects, making you more versatile and prepared for professional work. We won't lie to you. Installing packages, editors, and even entire operating systems can be very frustrating. However, having the experience of setting up a development environment to run the code you'll write is an invaluable, real-world skill you'll carry with you for the rest of your career. The effort put into learning these setups pays off significantly in the long run. It's like learning to drive a manual car. It might be tough initially, but it gives you a broader skill set and more control. Lesson Overview. In the following sections, we'll go over the steps for setting up your environment. There is no need to install anything in this lesson, as it is purely informative. These sections are the most important steps in the entire curriculum. Please take the extra time to double-check what you're typing, or you may cause more headaches for yourself down the road. This is crucial here. Small mistakes can lead to significant issues later. So, I encourage you to slow down and be meticulous. It's a valuable habit in programming, as well. In the next few lessons, we will walk through these installation steps together. Installing a supported operating system, OS. Installing Google Chrome web browser. Installing a code editor. Creating an SSH key, a personal password that will identify you to GitHub, Heroku, and many other sites you'll be using. At the end of the next lesson, you'll be up and running with many of the tools you need to write and run code. It may seem like a lot of steps, but we'll get through it as painlessly as possible together. If anything goes wrong, remember to use these steps. Examine the terminal output for the actual error. Google, Google, Google. Never be afraid to ask for help in the top Discord server. Just to reassure that it's okay to encounter errors and resources are available. Problem solving is a core skill in development, and learning how to effectively search for solutions is part of the process. For Chromebook users, your OS choice has effectively been made for you. However, on Chrome OS systems supporting Linux on Chrome OS, there are instructions in the next lesson on how to set this up on your device. Mac OS. If you're using a Mac, you're in great shape. The Odin Project instructions assume a Unix-based system. By installing just a few programs, you will be up and running with your education in no time. Linux. Official Ubuntu flavors. Linux is a free and open-source operating system that works well with all programming languages. Most development tools are written to work natively with Linux. Your tools will likely be updated more often, have more information available for troubleshooting, and just plain run better on Linux. We'll be using Ubuntu, one of the most popular and user-friendly distributions available, or the lighter-weight alternative Xubuntu. If you don't use a Mac, we recommend that you use Linux. It's that simple. Linux, especially Ubuntu, is highly recommended for developers due to its flexibility and strong community support. Learning Linux can also open doors to better understanding server environments and advanced development tools. Windows. Windows, by itself, is not natively supported by the Odin Project or on our Discord server. Because many of the tools you'll be using were written with a Linux environment in mind, you'll need to have one even if you plan to use Windows as your development OS. If you are currently using Windows, you can use one of the following options to create your development environment. A VirtualBox virtual machine. Dualboot Ubuntu Installation. Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL2. While Windows isn't directly supported, these alternatives allow you to harness Linux's power within a Windows setup. It's essential to choose the one that fits your comfort level and needs. A virtual machine is an emulation of a computer that runs within your existing OS. It allows you to use another operating system inside of a program on your current operating system, e.g. running Linux inside of Windows. Virtual machines are as straightforward to install as any other program and are risk-free. If you don't like Linux, you can easily remove the virtual machine. Virtual machines are a great way for new developers to get started quickly. Virtual machines are excellent for beginners. They offer a low-risk way to experiment with Linux, and you can revert back to your original setup if needed without affecting your main OS. Dual booting means installing two operating systems on your computer, giving you the option to boot either Linux or Windows when your computer starts up. The advantage of dual booting over a virtual machine is that the OS can use all of your computer's resources, resulting in much faster operation. There is some risk to installing a dual boot system because you're changing your hard drive partitions, but you'll be okay as long as you take your time and read the instructions. Dual booting can be as easy as inserting a flash drive and clicking a few buttons. The benefits of dual booting cannot be overstated. You will allow Linux to access the full capabilities of your hardware, have a clean and distraction-free environment for coding, and learn the platform used by many senior developers and servers around the world. The performance boost and immersive learning experience with dual booting are significant. It's an excellent way to get the most out of your hardware and truly dive into a Linux environment. Windows Subsystem for Linux lets you run a full-fledged Linux environment from within an existing Windows installation, giving you all of the advantages of Linux through a simplified installation process. We'll be using version 2 of WSL, commonly known as WSL2, within the curriculum. Concerned about installing a new OS? Whoa. I like my OS just fine the way it is. If you don't have an Apple computer, you are likely using Windows. Don't worry. The options above don't mean you need to get rid of Windows. Linux will gladly share the hard drive with Windows. We know you've probably learned a lot of tips and tricks for your favorite OS and don't want to lose everything you have on your computer. However, most OSs are developed with non-technical folks in mind, so they hide or make it difficult to use many of the languages and frameworks we'll need to install. Having to work around these difficulties causes many new developers to give up before they've even started their journey to full-stack nirvana. Modifying or dual booting a computer to work with the tools you'll need will make it much easier to start programming, help create a distraction-free environment, and look good on your resume. Take a deep breath, and let's look at your options. Still not convinced? Here are a few great reasons to install Linux. Tested. We've tested our directions with macOS, Ubuntu, and official Ubuntu flavors, and WSL2. We did the research so that you can get tools installed with as few issues as possible, getting you to coding sooner. Time spent wrestling with your operating system is time taken from learning how to code. Community support. Using the tools we recommend makes it easier for us to help when you run into trouble. Development tools are built for Linux, Ruby, on Rails, and Node.js, popular backend technologies covered by the Odin Project and widely used in the larger web development community, are open source projects that explicitly expect to run on an open source, Unix-based platform like Linux. Many development tools are optimized for Linux. This can lead to fewer compatibility issues and better overall performance. Work like the pros. Many developers use a Unix-based operating system. Performance. Are you worried about installing Linux because your machine is slow or older and has limited space? When performance is a priority, Linux is a great choice. It uses fewer system resources than Windows and occupies less hard drive space. Linux's efficiency is a major advantage, especially for older or less powerful machines. It's a great option if your computer has limited resources. Many learners come to our Discord channel to ask if the directions on this page need to be followed. The moderators of our Discord server wrote everything you just read about the installation plan. Those supporting learners on our Discord server agree with the guidance on this page and will make the same recommendations you have read here. Before we can continue, we must first stress one detail of importance. We can only support what is provided within the scope of our curriculum. We do not support native Windows as a development environment. Using Windows has been discussed many times, and it is not feasible to do so at this time. Please do not ask us to support Windows, and do not bring it up in the Discord. We are constantly evaluating our curriculum to keep content as fresh and accessible as possible, and Windows has not proven to be a path of low resistance. With that out of the way, we need to set up an appropriate development environment. So, that's it for this lesson episode. Setting up your development environment is a critical first step in your journey to becoming a skilled developer. While it might seem daunting at first, the benefits of using a Unix-based system like macOS or Linux far outweigh the initial challenges. These systems provide a robust, flexible, and professional-grade environment that will serve you well throughout your learning and career. In this lesson, we explored the various operating systems you can use for development, highlighting the advantages of macOS and Linux. We discussed why Windows isn't natively supported and provided alternative solutions like virtual machines, dual booting, and WSL2 to bridge the gap. Remember, the aim is to create a distraction-free, efficient, and professional environment for your coding journey. In the next lessons, we'll dive into the actual installation steps. We'll learn how to install a supported operating system, set up your preferred code editor, and configure essential tools. By the end of it, you'll have a fully operational development environment, ready for you to start coding and building projects. Stay tuned, and get ready to roll up your sleeves. We're about to get hands-on. Thank you for watching. If you found this video helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe for more content like this.